Well, hello folks, I'm LA Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap, where we take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today, what might it tell us about the coming ones. I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's under the channel LA Little. If you subscribe on the channel, then anytime we push content, you'll be notified. It's an easy way to keep up with what's going. As far as what's going, down again, and like last night, it sure looked like it should bounce. When it looks like it should do one thing and it does something else, then one of two things is happening. Either you don't know what you're doing, in this case I didn't, or the market's lying to you and it's really going to do something outside of what it should have done. Usually the market doesn't lie to you. Usually the market tells you the truth, and you're usually missing something, and clearly I was missing something. And what we have here is a pretty big sell-off. The one signal we had last night, if you remember, was the Russell. Well, the Russell's the one that sold off the most, down 1%. 0.5% elsewhere, and just couldn't get going. Pushed up at the beginning of the day, and it was down the rest of the day. Gold sells off again. It was actually slightly up if you look at the futures contracts, but if you're looking at the GLD itself, it was down again. Copper down again, oil down again, natural gas down, dollar down. Everything was down except bonds, right? People going to bonds, going to safety, quote unquote. So that's the overview. Let's look at what happened inside. And what happened inside was just a push down, a little more expansion in the volume, and it's right into those bars we talked about. Those bars are here, right? That was what we talked about would be the target on the S&P 500. It went right to them, stopped at them. That's the target. It hits it. Now, what should it do? It should try to turn around and head back up the other way. That's the S&P. If I look at the NASDAQ, now the NASDAQ and many of the charts we're going to see tonight actually have bearish engulfings on them. And here's the NASDAQ one, right? Goes above it, back under it. Now, this one's not quite, but it's almost a bearish engulfing. Usually that says, that's a bearish signal, and that says that you're going to go lower. The retest regen is here. It looks to me like it's going to try to trade into the lows of that, and we'll see if it holds it or not. If we look at the NDX, let's pull that one up, and that one also has the bearish engulfing, and this one was a full one. This one wants to try to go lower as well. And if we look at the Russell, you talk about bearish engulfing, look at this one. This one like just waxes the candle yesterday, closes underneath it into this bar. This one's set up to try to go to the bottom. So big turnaround on the Russell. The Russell was the one giving us the signal, thinking we were going to see it push higher. And if you remember about, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, or maybe it's fewer than that, maybe it's earlier this week, I had talked about the Russell just hadn't been giving us the best signals after about 1.5 years of the best signals. Last night I thought it was giving it to us, came into this bar, flipped around, not to be. False signal. Russell wants to go lower. So if we look at the indexes themselves, just apart from everything else, it looks like for the majority here, they're telling us they're going to try to go lower tomorrow. If we move over to the overseas markets, and I'm going to start with the Sensex. We talked about the Sensex. Goes up there and it tests. It's still testing. If you remember, it's testing on that weekly time frame. So you have that test that's taking place here into these two bars. That's the big test. The test on this breakdown bar right here. The top was 29.094, and it's trying to get over that. That's the trough spot. So far it's holding, and it's holding right at the highs. Let's move over to Brazil. Brazil was trying to break down. Brazil does break down, and Brazil is heading back down towards the lows. And the bar it was trying to get back into was here. At top was 49657. That's what we called last night. It got down to 49668. It's going to hit it tomorrow. If we go to Europe, France holds at the highs, right? A little consolidation up here at the highs. We're starting to sell off. Is Europe going to follow us, or is Europe going to diverge and hold up here off the Greek can kick and the QE that's taking place there? Same thing here on the German DAX. Go over to Asia. Look at Hong Kong. Hong Kong comes down a little bit, but holds pretty tight. And of course, that's about the Shanghai index. If we move over and look at Shanghai, Shanghai breaks the B of the ABCD up. That's the thing it's been dealing with, and I'd said that it probably needs to do it today. It did do it. It gets over it. That gives it the ABC up. That's going to get it up into this high. And if it gets into that high, that's going to get it over that retest regen zone. So that's what's taking place here. That price point is going to try to get to is right into here, about 43.80 or so. And that's the test. That's the test that we're going to see whether or not whether Shanghai can get this thing back into a sideways mode and get out of this downtrend, right, and say, okay, yeah, it is a range trade, and that's what it's trying to do. If we move over and look back one more time, we'll look at Japan while we're still here. Japan up there just consolidating, so nothing there. I want to go to the sectors right quick, though, because we had, as I said, we had a number of bearish engulfing signals. We had them in the indexes I showed you earlier with the NASDAQ, the NDX, well, the NASDAQ almost, the NDX, and in the Russell, right? But if we flip through these sectors real quick, biotech still holding, right? That's been a go-to sector, still holding. Home builders still holding at the top, the little top range. Transports, they've been weak. Transports come down again with a big wide price spread bar. Now the stocks had been trying to push lower, got under back over. I said last night I expect it's probably going to pop up. Sure enough it did, and you got a nice big spike. But you know, this isn't going to go anywhere. You didn't have any volume on the spike, so you got a big spike, so what? It's not going anywhere. Basic materials. Basic materials breaks down. They were looking at them last night. They had just gotten under. Well, they extended tonight. And let's look at them on a weekly right quick. So they're breaking swing point lows on the weekly as well. That one, if it continues, you know, you only got one more day, then that says it can go even lower, and it would be a break on multiple swing points. Look at the energy sector. Energy sector is broken also. Again, speaking to the bearish engulfings, here's the financials. Bearish engulfing after a big long run. That wants to go back down the other way. XLI coming after the lows. Now, it had already had one good turn on the low and it pushed higher. Right now, it's coming back to test that volume's expanding. If it gets under it, it's going to be a break here, and it's going to be a break on this time frame again as well. So we've got a number of sectors that are close to trading lower on multiple time frames, and you know, the more that happens, the worse it gets, right? We had the XLK, not a bearish engulfing, just hanging. You had Amazon after the bell up 50, 60 points. Amazon's going to try to push this thing higher tomorrow. Durables, consumer durables, also a bearish engulfing. If you look at the utilities, utilities have struggled. Now they're starting to come down again. They had a bounce coming down again. XLV up a little bit, holding pretty well. And then we round out the group with another bearish engulfing, the XLY. So those sectors, or a number of those sectors that have been strong, like financials, like consumer discretionary, coming back on bearish reversals. So at the end of the show, I almost always try to come back, circle back, and tell you what I think is going to happen and what should happen. And when I look at the S&P 500, right, it's probably the most positive of the charts out there. But as we just saw, you have two of the sectors that have been leading this higher. Actually, three of them, if you include the consumer discretionary. Two of the sectors trying to break back down. XLK may get a little bump tomorrow off of Amazon, but I don't know if it's going to go anywhere because Apple looks like it's going to try to come back down. So, you know, when I look at the indexes, world indexes look pretty positive. These indexes, U.S. indexes, look like they want to trade lower. Can I take that to the bank? Is it a strong signal? No, it's not. I mean, we were off base totally last night with that reversal signal that we saw on the Russell. And so I have a lot less confidence tonight in making any kind of a call in terms of up or down. If I had to you know, place a bet on it, I suspect we'll just kind of, you know, mill around kind of sideways tomorrow. So that would probably be the way I read this. Well, it's the end of the week. Have yourself a great weekend. I'll be off tomorrow, and I'll see you on Sunday. Good night. Take care. I'll see you next time.